This is the second of two pull sessions that I do. I'm going to get straight into this one. So as you've seen in some of my previous videos, I'm currently doing a 5-day training split that's amalgamated within my off days when I'm not working night shifts, basically. So it's all condensed within a 5-day period, then have 3 days off to recover and then go again. So this is day 5, my last day of training before I reset. Now I start this workout off again with a variation of a pull-up. This time it's a narrow grip. Now I'm using a narrow grip here. Ultimately, what I would prefer to do would be close grip chins with a supinated grip. I'm trying to work around some elbow pain, a little bit of golfer's elbow, so that's inner elbow pain. And the overhand grip tends to eliminate most of that pain unless it gets really bad. So this movement in general is just a little bit more comfortable. It's not quite as easy to perform. You'll find that you'll be reliant heavily upon your brachioradialis, your forearm musculature as opposed to your biceps. So it's not quite as good. You're definitely not going to be as strong from this angle, but it's still nevertheless a good movement and works very well with the wider grip variation that I do on day 1. So again, this is a low rep week where I'm doing 4 reps across the board for the most part, 4 or 5. And then I'll run this for 4 weeks and then reset back up to 10 reps. So my second exercise here is the behind neck pull down. I can't stress enough how good an exercise this is, how much I enjoy doing it personally. It just feels great. I love that old school element to it, but predominantly I like the results that I think that I'm getting from it. It's very hard to say at this point what a specific exercise is doing for you, but I believe that it's very, very positive in terms of the effect that it's having on my body. It certainly feels very good. And if you look at the movement, the verticality of it, it's going to be very, very humbling and very precise in terms of the progressive overload. The problem with a lot of pull down movements and back training in general is the ease at which you can manipulate the angle of the movement. So if you think of your conventional pull downs, let's say you're lifting 90 kilos for a set of 6 to 8 and you're leant back, maybe 80 degrees. Now, to progressively overload that, of course, we need to try to replicate the same form. But what can happen is we can maybe just tweak the angle so we're now at 75 degrees without really realising, have we got stronger? Have we placed more stress upon that working muscle? Probably there's going to be some growth there, of course, but it gets hard to manage with back training in particular. It's something that I personally have always struggled with. So the behind it pull down is a great movement that's just really consistent, and that's why I like it. And it feels good for me. I think the problems arise when people predominantly aren't loose enough to be able to perform a movement. It just might take a little bit of flexibility work to be able to get in and do these well, and maybe just tweaking the angle of the distance between your hands. But it works well for me, and it's working well with my clients at the moment and historically as well. Now the next movement is a bit of a strange one, certainly not conventional. It's a very limited partial movement, very limited ROM indeed. You can see I'm only really moving it a few inches. Essentially what I'm trying to do here is maximally overload the back and focus on scapular retraction. So I'm taking really all of the elbow flexion away from it. And again, this helps to work around that elbow pain that I was talking about at the start of this video, because these handles here, it don't work well with an overhand grip. It's impossible to use. The angle's just wrong. So you have to use an underhand grip. And this is one of the few back machines that is available that is good and that I enjoy using. Of course, in the gym, you're at the mercy of the equipment you have available. And as an advanced trainer, you have to think sometimes outside the box and find ways to make sure that you can continue to train, even if it is a little unconventional. So by taking away the elbow flexion, essentially I'm able to perform these with a lot of weight without worrying about elbow pain, and I believe it to be quite effective for my back indeed. So now moving on to the bicep component of the work, which again, like most of my stuff at the moment, takes up around about half of my training. So the first exercise is a straight bar preacher curl. Now I'd really recommend the straight bar to be used across most of your bicep work if you can. The contraction is just going to be that much better. Only use the easy bar as a fallback for when it starts to hurt your elbows. And that's predominantly the reason why I was using it in the first pull session, as you saw a couple of videos back. The curls were just a bit uncomfortable. My elbow is now in a position where I can actually do curls, starting this new block going forwards with a straight bar, and already I can feel the difference. The contraction is just that much more obvious. The connection to the bicep is just better because it forces, especially with the bar, that just real raw kind of supination that only the straight bar really gives you. The easy bar is good as a fallback, but I will always recommend, if possible, that straight bar. It just can't be beaten, in my opinion. So using that on the preacher and actually going forwards on my straight bar curls as well on the first pull day. Now, I combine that with the single arm rope curl, a brilliant exercise. Really, really good. And that's going to help to develop your brachioradialis, overall bicep development and forearm development that just makes you look a little bit more powerful, in my opinion, especially from the side. When you may be in that side chest pose, or just walking around, it just looks more impressive. So the rope curls really, really help out with that. And supplement the straight bar work very, very nicely. Now, the reason why I do that single arm, again, it's just to kind of iron out any differences between the limbs that you might see. And forearm and bicep work tend to be areas that have the most difference between limbs. The right and left limb will be quite different indeed, and you'll find that the weaker side might be, a couple of reps weaker than the other side. So it's more obvious than some of the other disparities between various muscles. For instance, your shoulders, they're going to have a little bit of difference between one side and the other, but it's not, and nothing is as obvious as bicep and forearm work and your hand stuff. So that's why I'm using that exercise as a single arm movement. I always try to have at least one exercise in my program where I'm doing single arm stuff for biceps and triceps. So something for you to consider, guys. This is day 5 of my 5-day protocol. If you're interested in seeing more, then stick around. I've got some really cool videos coming out, and all the links to my coaching, very, very affordable, only £79 a month, guys. My free programs, paid for Excel tools, and my newsletter, Natural Gains, are down below in the description box. So check out there if you're interested. Thanks for watching, guys, and stay strong. See you on the next one.